Call this meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation by Trinity Lutheran. Okay. Roll call.
Barrington.
Here. Yeah. Come for it.
Bathke. Parks. Here. Smith.
Here.
Sabers.
Here.
Goldhammer.
Here.
Dosher. Here. McCardle.
Here.
We have a quorum. First thing, oath of office. Magistrate Judge Pat Smith is to issue the office to Mayor Jordan Hansen and City Council members Dan Sabers, Kevin McCardle, Marty Barrington, and Jeff Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, why don't we take up the city council members? So it's Councilperson Sabers, Councilperson McCardle, Councilperson Barrington, and Councilperson Smith. All stand for me, please. I would ask if you would all please repeat after me. First, we'll start out with I state your name. So, I, having been elected to the office of councilperson, Ward 1, within and for the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of the City of and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all the duties of the office of Council Member Ward. And congratulations to each of you. Thank you. Congratulations and thank you. Thank you, Mark. All right.
That's what told me why I looked on a piece of paper at the same time.
And who gets these? All right, now, Mr. Mayor, it's my pleasure to swear you in. Please repeat after me. I, Jordan Hansen,
I, Jordan Hansen,
having been elected to the office of mayor within and for the city of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinance of said city of Mitchell, and I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all the duties of the office of mayor. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Thank you. Election of officers. President of City Council. You guys are going to have to teach me what to do here.
First step would be nomination of one or more candidates.
So would someone entertain a nomination of one of the candidates?
I will nominate Kevin McCardle again especially with a new mayor coming in. I think it's prudent we keep a little bit of the norm as we start off here and lead the city.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second? Do I say all those in favor say aye?
No, so next would be if there's any other candidates.
Okay. Any other candidates?
So maybe I'll start. Obviously, I understand what you're saying, Mike, and I was the council president for quite a few years. And I always think it's nice to maybe get a fresh look or fresh set of eyes or whoever with the council. And I did visit with Marty today, and given the fact that he's been on for 18 years and his wisdom and his leadership ability, his management style, so forth, I think would complement our new mayor and be able to lean on his years of service that he's had with the city. So I'm going to nominate Marty Barrington.
I'll second it.
We have a second.
Any other candidates?
Any other candidates?
I move to close nominations.
Now what? Do I have a second? We got a first timer here, guys, so bear with me. A second. You have a motion and a second? Do we do a roll call or all those in favor?
This you can do voice vote, just majority. This is just, right, yep.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
And
Nope,
now-
just kidding. Just kidding.
So now the vote would be on nominee Kevin McCardle and nominee Marty Barrington. And that could be voice vote, probably roll call, Michelle.
So is this one, sorry, is this one at a time?
We got a complicated first job.
Yeah.
So it'd be voting for either candidate.
Oh,
So we're going to do a roll call.
So we'll do
And
a
then
roll-
they're going to say the name of the person they want.
Correct, yep. So you'll do a voice vote. Michelle will read the roll, and each council member will vote for either Kevin or Mr. Barrington. Should have said Mr. McCardle.
Ready?
Roll call?
Sabers.
You don't need it here.
Goldammer.
Barrington?
Dosher.
McCardle.
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 Barrington.
Barrington.
Bathke.
McCardle.
Charks.
Barrington.
Smith.
You know, over the amount of years that we've been doing these roll calls, I know that's very difficult. And I bet I've been 90% of the time that I'm one of the final vote. So I'm going to make it nice and complicated. Barrington.
It's a tie.
All right. So since we've got a tie, council, to my knowledge, has not set any established tie-breaking procedure. So at this point, council would need to decide whether to reopen nominations.
No, Justin, can you speak into your microphone? I can't hear you.
Yep. Sorry, Susan. So at this point, because we have a tie, and council does not have an established tie-breaking procedure, council will need to vote whether to reopen nominations, or adopt a tie break, or come up with some other way to resolve the tie. Or we can re-vote until we end up with somebody changing their vote.
Has this ever happened before?
Not in my tenure.
Well, I'll jump on, and I don't know if I can speak on behalf of myself, but I'm going to spin off of you, Mike, with what you said is, it's sort of a little bit of mixture of both, to be honest with you. I do also agree that I think when you have a a change down the road every once in a while. I think, Doc, you've been serving here for 5 years as the president, and you've done a great job of those 5 years. And I think what it goes back to is a little bit of both what you said. I do believe, Jeff, that change is good. Mike and I also believe that they're solidified to have somebody that's been on the council for a while. As most of us know, I've been sitting here for 18 years. This is my 7th term. Over those years, I've been the vice president for a countless amount of years. Obviously, currently serving as your vice president. I have never served as the president of the council, not because the support was not there, but obviously just some changes. When I moved over to Madison, doing my job over there and back and forth. And now that you've been there for 14 years, get a little more control of your job, and you have the opportunity to get off of work a little bit and come back and get attend to some meetings and things like that more. So control of the job has definitely helped out a lot. But just looking at it and answering, I guess, both of your things, not saying I'm the ideal situation for it, but as you're saying over here, a little bit of change, Mr. Smith and Mr. Baskey, you're saying you want somebody that has some stability in the council. Been here for quite some time, obviously one of the longest besides Mr. Smith. I think I answered both those nominations, I guess, even though I was nominated by Mr. Smith, but I think I answered both of those in the whole. So I guess that's all I want to say. Not necessarily put myself on a platform, but to sort of give you my soapbox story of how I can help out the council, help work with the new mayor, Mr. Hanson, and I believe I can keep the council going in the right direction as we have done in the past. So.
Your turn.
Well, I do too. I believe I can, I'm in town here, Marty's in Madison, so, if we have situations in town, I'm not 60 miles away from Mitchell. I think we've been doing a good job with the way we've been doing things. I don't feel I've, done anything improper or wrong not to be the president. And, Marty was the vice president, I was the president, so I feel that I've done a good job, and I get along with city workers. I get a lot of people calling, asking for free advice, and I think that I deserve the job myself. And I know how things operate. Most of these department heads, I've probably been in interviews with most of them. So I've been through the process. Marty's been there too, so I think either one of us would do a good job, to be honest with you.
I have a question, please.
Go ahead.
My question is for those who want to change, has Kevin done something wrong that they want to make a change?
Well, I think this is Jeff, John. I think I've kind of stated my position of the fact of, I think it's good to shift gears every once in a while. And given the fact that Marty's been at it for 18 years and never asked for it, and now is a perfect time for him, that's where I was sitting. Nothing against Kevin, but I think at this point in time, with the number of years Marty has put in, that I truly believe that he has earned an opportunity to be our leader. And, there's always next year or the following year if we want to switch back or do some other changes. But when Marty had been on here a lot of years, and we had some discussions over the years of saying, it does make some sense to a certain degree that the vice president will become the president. And whatever number of years, if it's 1 year or if it's several years. But given the fact that, he was vice president, has been for several times, but never has been the president, then that's where I'm leaning toward Marty as a result of that. I don't know if anybody else has comments, but that was my position.
Maybe someone could clarify. Can you read off the role of the council president, just so everyone in the room kind of knows what these guys are voting on?
I don't think we've got anything established, but obviously the role of council president does come with some statutory responsibilities. They can potentially step into. I'm trying, Susan. So the role of president does come with some statutory responsibilities. They can step into the role of the mayor if there ever becomes a need of that. They obviously work closely with the mayor, meet with them before council meetings, help guide the rest, and guide and coordinate the rest of the council. So I guess that's kind of just a brief synopsis. Stephanie, if you've got anything to add?
Also, if the mayor is ever missing from a council meeting, then the president would lead the council meeting. And then when we have council work sessions such as budget, really the council president is the one responsible for running those meetings as well.
Anyone else? Jeff?
I was just going to ask what, go ahead, John.
Go ahead, John.
The question, please. Can the mayor make a vote?
John, this is Justin. At this point, there's no established tie-breaking procedure. If the council wants to adopt one and give that vote to the mayor, that would be up to the council.
I think it would be important for the mayor to have a little input.
I can give you my verbal input. Kevin has called me a few times because he wanted this position. I didn't have anyone else reach out to me. So I'm not saying anything negative about Marty or anyone else, but to me, when someone puts forth the effort to make the decision to give me a call several times about this, I think that shows initiative. And that initiative is something I'd like to see going forward. Now, I'm not going to say who I would vote for, but I want to make sure everyone knows the background of this decision. I had never heard from anyone else before that, and this is a very interesting, sort of difficult first task on the board. Maybe the other people who made their votes on this council would take that into consideration. I don't have a vote on this. You guys are going to have to decide if I do or not. But I just want you to know that, to me, initiative means a lot. Nothing negative against Marty, because I have no idea how long you guys have been thinking about this. I didn't really even know it was a deal. So I just want to give you my backstory, super transparent about what's going on. So that's my input. Who do I think is best for the job? I'm not really sure. If what they're going to do is work when I'm gone, there's a small chance that'll ever happen, because I plan on being here every single day. So that's up to you guys to make that decision. If you put it in my hands, I'll make a decision.
I'll just chime in here just briefly. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I'd just like to lend my support to Marty. I just think it's good to have a change of leadership occasionally, and I think that Marty has proven his ability to a dedication to our community through the years, and I just think it's time to have a little change in leadership. I don't think that there's anything bad about this. This is certainly not a reflection on Kevin. It's just an opportunity for us to have someone with a lot of experience, and I think that having you, Jordan, new as a mayor, having someone with a breadth of experience that Marty has that he brings to the table is going to really be valuable for you to have a historical understanding of issues that, there's only 2 people on the council that have that same shared experience. So, and that includes, I think, probably 90% of, if not all of the department heads. So, I think that what Marty brings to the table is a great amount of experience and understanding of issues that will really be beneficial to a new leader. So, that is my little reason for supporting Marty.
I have one comment, Susan. You're wanting a change in leadership. You did not have that attitude when you were running for your council seat.
Excuse me, I don't understand what you're saying. I'm talking about the leadership of the council.
Yes, I said how change would be good. You said how change would be good, and having somebody new in there would be good. And,
Yeah, because, John, you understand me though?
I sure did, but I'm asking you, then why did you run for council again?
Well, you have to understand that the change that I'm asking for is for someone with experience, with years of experience. So I'm giving credibility to someone who has a lot of experience, John.
How about you guys? You haven't said anything yet. Tim, papers? I'm not going to let you off the hook.
Justin, does this got to be done tonight?
Yeah, it does.
We can't move on until this is finished.
Statute requires that this be completed tonight.
That's not all. Come on, you got to have a little more input.
I guess I can speak to some of my thoughts. And so originally when Mr. McCardle was running for reelection, part of the discussion that I had with some council members was the potential for me to run for president, because you never know how an election turns out. One of the reasons why I did not vote for Mr. McCardle in the first round is because he told me that he thought that those conversations were happening behind his back. And in a very frank conversation, you hadn't been elected to office yet. And then as soon as you were elected, I reached out to you to set up a meeting to discuss it. And then I felt attacked in the way that you approached me about those conversations. Because I sent you multiple texts and email, and then it led to a phone call where you told me that you thought I was going behind your back. And in my opinion, it lost my trust in your representation as president of the council.
I'd like to see the text.
Now what, Justin?
So it's still up to council. If anybody has changed their vote, they could call for a revote. If anybody wants to propose a tie-breaking procedure, we would need to adopt one with motion and a second and a majority vote.
Pretty sure the tie-breaking procedures would be a 4-4 vote.
I would tend to agree with that. Does anyone else have any suggestions? How about you guys?
So
You're on deck. What do you think?
So Justin, we obviously went to a 4-4 vote. I believe one of the next policy and procedures would be the fact if we want to renominate again.
Yeah,
To another
that would be another option to reopen nominations.
And also from my understanding of policy procedure, obviously one can nominate themselves. What I'm looking at is the fact that now we've all had some discussion, obviously got a little bit more information out in the forefront of the situation at hand between myself and Kevin running for the president position. I want the council to keep in mind that the city voted for a change. We have a new mayor here today. It's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to working for you the next 3 years. And I'm asking the council to take a look at that too. And once again, nothing against Kevin, it isn't. It's the fact that change is good. The public made the proof of that. So I think, I just hope the council can take a look at that and consider that as one of these options today. Once again, been sitting here for 18 years. There's a reason why I've been sitting here for 18 years, and I hope I can get support from you. So I am going to nominate myself again as president of the council.
Great way to start the year off. I'll nominate Kevin McCardle.
Do we have to do one at a time?
I'll just say, if we're going to be reopening nominations, that needs to be done by motion and second as well, and then majority vote. And then the two candidates that have already been nominated will keep their nominations. You could add additional nominations after that.
I move that we reopen nominations.
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Second.
Vote on that motion.
So
McCardle. We need to vote on reopening.
roll call on reopening, or just?
Anybody.
All those in favor of reopening nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And so just to be clear, the two nominations, now that nominations are reopened.
It would be
two
to nominate a third or
Third
fourth or however many candidates we need. However the votes come out, there still needs to be a majority in favor of a single candidate. So whoever is going to win needs 5 votes.
So I'll renominate myself as president.
So my understanding is that Marty and Kevin are still on the floor as nominations.
Correct.
You would only take any additional nominations. So if you still want the two that were previously nominated, that's where we're at.
So how we just go back to a revote?
To go back to a revote?
Just to
Any new nominations?
Yeah, but at this point, nominations have been reopened, so we would need to solicit any other candidates. If there are none, then we would move to a revote on the two candidates that we have.
Has either one had a second yet?
They don't need a second. They're still candidates.
I nominate Tim Goldhammer also.
Do I have a second?
Don't need a second, you said.
Do need a second for a new candidate.
Do I have a second on the new candidate?
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second. Now do we do a revote?
So now there's three candidates.
Three candidates. We have Tim, Marty, Kevin. Oh, I probably should say last names, huh? Mr. Goldhammer, Mr. Barrington, and Mr. McCardle. All right, this is
Can we
pretty
take
complicated.
Can we take public input?
That's up to the council.
Technically, since this is a public meeting with a motion on the table, wouldn't that be?
It's not required. It's up to you whether you want to allow it or not.
Do you want to allow it, Tim? Do you have a motion to allow it?
I would welcome public comment. I move to welcome public comment.
Do we have a second to welcome public comment?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Can people start talking?
You got to vote on the motion first.
Yeah, we got a motion.
We got a
so-
first timer here. I'd like to apologize to everyone in advance. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. I think we're ready.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
In the case of a tie, Mike Lauritsen with the Development Corporation, having worked in politics for a long time. In the case of a tie, they are
Make
often,
sure that they're talking into the microphone, please.
Pull the mic up towards you.
in the case of a tie, in legislative races, other races, they are often solved with a game of chance, such as flipping a coin. I would offer that to you guys.
I thought about that earlier, but we have three candidates on the table now. It's my dad's first opportunity to yell at me. Go ahead.
I just think that since the mayor has got to work with the president of the council, that he should be the one that breaks the tie.
Well, I think that's off the table now, isn't it? Oh, okay.
Depends on how this vote goes.
Well, this vote can't be a tie, or, well, I guess it could, couldn't it? 3 and 3 and 2. Or 4 and 4 again, yeah.
Until somebody gets 5 votes, we're here.
Oh, it's got to be 5?
Yep.
So it could be 3,
No.
3 and 2, and then
Doesn't have to be
That
five.
it has to be a
Needs
majority.
to be 5.
No, it doesn't need to be 5.
No, it
There's
does need
3
to be.
candidates.
It has to be a majority of the board.
I move to close nominations.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the nomination. Second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now are we revoting again? This is
Yep.
very complicated.
We'd call the roll, and each member will vote for their preferred candidate.
Roll call?
Dosher,
McCardle.
McCardle,
McCardle.
Barrington,
Barrington.
Bathke,
McCardle.
Charks,
Barrington,
Smith,
Barrington?
Sabers,
McCardle.
Goldhammer,
Barrington.
Tie. Now what?
Now,
I'll make
council can
Go ahead.
entertain a tie-breaking procedure.
You guys want to just,
I'll make a motion that we use a quarter. And the mayor will do the flip.
I like it. Yeah.
We need a motion and a second on that. So we got the motion, we need a second on that.
Okay, we have a motion that we're going to flip a quarter, the
Second.
destiny of our,
So I'll move that if it lands on heads, it's Marty. If it lands on tails, it's Kevin.
I'll second that.
all those in favor of the coin toss, say aye.
Aye.
So Marty's heads,
Oh, that one. Nay.
oh, sorry. Opposed, same sign?
Nay.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Barrington,
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Charles.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Nay.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
7-1.
Motion carries. So now you're telling me that I am going to flip a coin to see who's the president.
Welcome to the circus.
Okay, before, am I going to catch it and do one of these, or is it going to land on the ground? Land on the ground. Everyone okay with that? Do I need a motion on that? Who's going to look? No, it's here. You want to verify? Okay, look at that. Look, bite it. Just so everyone knows. Okay, you guys ready? Tails. McCardle. Anyone wants to come look for it? Hey, can I keep this for like a memoir? I'll get you a different one later. Okay, so motion carries. Okay, now vice president?
Yep. Same procedure.
Okay, we're going to do the same thing, but for vice president.
Nominate Marty.
I'll second the nomination.
We have a motion.
Marty,
and a
do you
second.
want it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor?
I think,
Oh,
I think
sorry.
Tim would be obviously a great vice president getting in this role, but once again, the reason why I put my name in the hat for president, I think there's a reasons for it, and I think it's good if I stay here for at least another year.
Okay, thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations?
I move to close nominations.
Do we have a second to close
Second.
nominations? We have a second. All those in favor to close nominations? Say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign? Nominations are closed. Now it's time to vote with the roll call. Look at this. Glad we got 2 practice rounds on the first one. Roll call.
Charles.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Motion passes. Congratulations to our president and vice president. I don't know how many more times we're going to bust this thing out, but pretty wild. No, I already asked him. He told me I could have it. All right. Number 7, approval of consent items. Agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items.
I don't want to remove it, but I'm very excited for the fireworks display. Nothing says Independence Day like blowing some fireworks up.
He's right.
So get out to the lake and check that out. Show is scheduled to start at 10 p.m. So hopefully everyone can make it out there and see the awesome display they put on every year.
Any other discussion? Motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call? It says roll call. Okay.
Charles. Aye. Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of city council on an item that was not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Does anyone wish to?
I got the
address-
first one. It's
yeah.
Mitchell Main Street and beyond. Elizabeth's going to be here tonight. And they've got First Fridays here. The weather is supposed to be good. They got 3 bands this week from 5 to 6. They got Swedish meatballs. 6 to 8, they got Funk Fried. And from 8 to 10, they got Stars and Ends. But anyway, they're looking for a good crowd. The weather does look like it's going to break. It's going to be a nice night. Hope to ever see everybody out there.
Does anyone else wish to address council?
Just wait till another day.
Okay.
I want to say just one thing. Can you tell me what it costs to spray for mosquitoes?
About $2,000 each time.
Spray again, because it must
They
have
are
got washed
tomorrow.
away.
They're spraying tomorrow.
Good.
And again, and again, and again.
I levitated at Hitchcock last night, I think.
I also wanted to bring up, on Wednesdays, there is a farmer's market at Hitchcock Park. And this particular week, the Mitchell Municipal Band is also playing a show dedicated to kind of an Independence Day themed music. And so each week the theme changes, but the band is also there every week. And so you have an opportunity there as well to, free entertainment's always good entertainment in my opinion, and they do a really good job. So if you have some free time, check them out.
Anyone else wish to address the council?
I'm Phil Lee. I own TK Electric, and I'm a little disappointed, I guess, in our infrastructure down in our neighborhood. I had 12 inches of water in my building, throughout the building. Last time was 5 years ago. This 100-year or 1,000-year event that I see in the paper, I don't know. It's not right. I don't know if we're pushing too much water through our area or what. But to say that it worked and better than anticipated is bullshit. I know it was a lot of water, but we need to look at how we can fix this. I don't have flood insurance because it was fixed. We were told it will never happen again. 5 years, not even 5 years, here we are. That's all I wanted.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to address the council?
Bruce Treble, live on West Ash along Dry Run Creek. I've lived there for 48 years. I've been flooded 4 times. The city, whenever they make a new residential area, a new industrial park area, it seems like they run the water down to Dry Run. Years ago, before the box factory and Pepsi plant, that was a cornfield. Now it's roads, curb and gutter. All that water runs into Dry Run. When they redid Sanborn Street, I was at that meeting and they said they were going to put in a 4-foot pipe to drain the water down to Dry Run. I told them that's not going to work. The reason why is you run that water down there, but you don't do nothing to the creek. Right now, if we get 2 inches, it's out of the bank and on the bike path. If we would have got 10 inches, my house would have been flooded again. Is there something that can be done with Dry Run? I know all the water running into it, if you could, you're not going to keep it away, keep it inside the bank, but cleaning it out will help. Over the years, when they did the bypass, the bridge there had little culverts. You had to get on your hands and knees to crawl through it to get to the other side. They're bigger now. They're wider. Minnesota Street, they didn't do a thing. When the overpass got redone, 3 culverts, I had to get on my hands and knees to walk through it. Now, anybody in this room can get on my shoulders, or I get on theirs, and we can walk through there. So the water's flowing through there until it gets to Burr Street. Then it starts backing up. And it don't take long for water to back up. If we can keep it flowing, I know you're not going to keep it in the creek itself. It's going to flood out. So I'm asking if something can be done with these other 2 bridges. When they put the 4-foot pipe they bored it through underneath the railroad tracks and ran it into dry run. Is there any way we can bore some culverts or redo the bridges to get the water to flow through? That's all I'm asking.
That's your time, but come find me tomorrow. We'll see we'll talk about it.
Is there going to be any meetings about this?
Come find me tomorrow, and then we'll talk and see if
All
we
right.
get some meetings. We'll do our best.
Thank you.
Yep. Does anyone else wish to address council? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I've got one thing I was going to bring up. For those that are on council now, if you remember, we put 8 lots for sale up out to the lake, and it was voted on last June. Yeah, last June, not this June, but the one in '23. And if you remember right, there was an 8th lot that we could not sell because of the fact it was not buildable, and we did some research, and Justin, you can help me out here. But in order for us to sell that 8th lot and get the market value out of that, we are going to have to clean that lot up as far as the boundaries are concerned, because right now, most of the frontage on the lake frontage is still parkland. And we didn't know that at the time. But as we're digging into and doing these things, then Justin found that. So we've talked about putting additional lots up for sale, and in my mind, that does make some sense because it could pay for part, if not all, of the lake payment that we have coming up on the bonds. But that's just me, and we can, obviously, I'd be interested in everybody's opinion. So Susan and I sat down with Justin and Stephanie and Joe last week. That was before you were in, Mr. Mayor. We would have obviously included you too. And so what our discussion was is, if we want to get this cleaned up and put it on the market like the people voted it in on this particular lot, it's on South Harmon. It's a very nice lot. In fact, it's 2 lots, isn't it? Yeah, it's actually two lots there. And put that on the November ballot, given the fact that November is obviously a national election. We have got the absentee voting is starting in September. So we were looking at the calendar as we were meeting and say, if we wanted to do this, and that's the next election because we don't want to do a special election, obviously. So in order to speed this, get it to a point where if we wanted to, put it on the ballot to see if the people wanted to, again, sell this lot, we're going to have to really clip along, and because of all of the dates and different things. So Susan and I would like to propose that we would have a work session next Monday night at 6 o'clock. Will that work? Just to talk about this. And then Joe will bring some other ideas with other lots that he thinks would work. And maybe we can put 2 or 3 or whatever number on the ballot in November. And let the people decide again is, should the actual physical asset pay for itself? Or do we want to use, obviously, other funds? So anyway, that was what I was wanting to bring in front of you guys. If, we can end up saying no next Monday, but I think I would like to at least have a discussion to see if that would something that we would want to take to the community for a vote. So some of you are hearing this for the first time, some I was able to get to. So I don't know what you guys, if you want to spend, what are you thinking, Justin? An hour?
It's really up to the council on, how much discussion you want to have. You can set it for whatever time you want. You don't have to set a full time period if you want. You just set the start time and you go until you're done.
Okay.
Let's go at 5:30.
Are you okay with that? I know you got a meeting.
Yeah, there's this council meeting here, or golf course meeting here at 5:45, so 5:30. I'm sure that Lakeview would move their board meeting just a little later.
The meeting's at what time, 5:45?
Yes, but
So
they could do it at 6:30.
why don't we do an end date? Or time, an end time. Just let's keep it at an hour. And then that way these guys can start at 6:30. You get, but I think an hour would be sufficient to talk through this. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. An hour.
Okay.
And keep in mind, this would be geared more towards the council's own discussion. Any action on doing that would come back at a later meeting. So, if, depending on what the council decides, if there's certain areas that they'd want to see developed, we'd have to come back with a next step that the council would approve as far as, platting a particular location or something along those lines.
Sure.
So the next step would follow the discussion next
Okay.
week.
And then you can, at that meeting next Monday, at least give us a layout of the timetable that we, if we want to adhere to, or if we decide to move forward, then you can tell us, if we have to have special meetings, or will it be at council and planning commission and so forth. You can kind of just walk us through that, Justin.
Yeah, we should be able to get that information ready.
And then at the end of the month, I think you guys are all aware of the fact we're having a work session. And so then the lake itself, I know is going to be on there, and we're going to be talking about kind of a timeline. So this might fit in pretty well. Also during that meeting was the 29th or something like that, whatever that Monday, the last Monday. Yeah. Okay. So that's why I wanted to bring that up and see, if we wanted to sell it as it is now. Unfortunately, I don't think it would bring much of a value because you have no access to the lake. You have a lot sitting right by the lake, but and Justin will bring that up next week and kind of show us. So you guys are game? Are you okay with that, Mr. Mayor? Meeting?
Yeah. I don't think we should sell lake lots, but I do think we should have a discussion because that's fair.
Okay.
So what works for you guys for time?
Yeah, and I'm just going to chime in here. I'm out in Utah helping get my mom packed up to move back to South Dakota. So I won't be in town again, but I'd be happy to call in. And I just wanted to just say that as I've gone through life, it just feels like people have frequently said, why are we not selling more lake lots to help pay for the lake? So I think this is one of the answers to some of the people who feel like there's got to be more of a way to offset some of the expenses. So I think this is a really good subject that we need to discuss. And I will be calling in again. Sorry, I can't be there in person.
So do
we need a motion on that? Or is it just set?
I think you're just giving direction to set that meeting date.
Yeah, this is
what I heard,
technically set as
July.
input, so we should just be able to say.
Yeah.
Does
July
that work
8th.
for everyone? 5:30 next Monday? Everyone shake their head? Okay, put that on the schedule.
I got one more quick thing for Kevin. What's Plan B if tomorrow doesn't work for mosquito spraying? Or isn't there one?
Tonight was Plan A, tomorrow is Plan B, so we'll have to see what the weather looks like for Wednesday.
Okay.
Please make sure you're using the mic, people.
Tonight was Plan A, tomorrow was Plan B, so we'll have to see what the weather looks like for Wednesday if tomorrow night doesn't work.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak with the council?
Yeah, I'd like to have one more.
Oh, go ahead.
I think most of us know that Mike Costro will be retiring this Friday, and I just want to obviously give him a lot of thanks to the years that you put in for this community, your service you've done. Obviously, you've served in several different positions over those years, and obviously leaving as a chief. But I know our city was in a much better place as you were sitting there as a chief too, and I appreciate you and your staff and everything you guys have done. But we'll definitely miss you, Chief, and I wish you the best on wherever your endeavors take you. So thank you for all your years to the city of Mitchell.
Marty, I want to say thank you. This didn't come without a lot of thought. We've talked to some of you. Originally, my date to retire was January of '23. And for varying reasons, we've kept pushing it down the road and pushing it down the road. And, an extra year and a half, it's just time. We've got some things that we want to do, and there's always something else when it comes to this job at this level, especially for these department heads that sit around me that I'm proud to say we've worked together well. There's always something. And at some point, you just need to say, someone else can take that next something. So I appreciate everything you guys have done. Thank you. It's been an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? All right, Board of Adjustment, entertain a motion for the city council to recess and sit as the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, hearing to end action on an application of Torv Toslin variance permit. That has been withdrawn. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. B, hearing an action on the application for Mike Royston's variant permit. Mike Royston has applied for a variance permit for a front yard setback as shown on agenda. Thank you for allowing me to skip that.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council, Planning Commission made a motion to approve, but it was 0, 6, 1 absent, so the motion failed. Notices were sent out to the neighbors. It was published in the paper, signs posted out there. There are 3 letters returned in favor, 1 letter opposed. The applicant would like to put an attached garage onto his house at 17 feet. His house currently sits at 23 feet, where the setback's supposed to be 25. So he's requesting the 17 versus 25. So that way he can keep a window on the north side of his house. It's the only window on that side. His wife has some illnesses and ailments, so that's the reason why they want to have the attached garage on that. As you know, we like to see 20 feet for parking. There is no sidewalk on this, but that's not to say there's not going to be sidewalk in the future, and 20 feet is usually the number that we go with for vehicles not to park over the sidewalk. Otherwise, law enforcement has to get involved with that. I can answer any questions that you have for me.
Remind me again, Mark, of the vote that was at the Planning Commission?
0-6. So all of them voted against the motion to approve. Yes.
And I don't know, John, if you were able to attend that meeting, can you kind of give us an update of the reasonings or rationale, if you could, at a distance?
Yeah, you know, on the question was asked of the applicant, what is the hardship that would cause you to ask for that, and he really didn't have an answer. And, you know, I think the other big concern was parking at the driveway and out of the garage would have the cars or whatever on the sidewalk eventually.
Be illegal for them to park in their driveway. Basically, they just can't.
Are we talking about the Mike Royston one?
Yes.
You know, I'll just chime in here. I know their family and I know that his wife has been very ill. I would say that would be the hardship, whether they were willing to offer that up or not. I would like to see us be supportive of this.
I guess I listened to the planning and zoning, and there's no reason he can't back it up other than covering up the window. That was the only reason why he didn't want to back it up. So I don't like him parking over the sidewalk because we do have handicapped people that need to use the sidewalk and children. There is no sidewalk there at this time, but they will not live there forever. He said during the meeting that you wouldn't park there, but they're not going to live there forever.
Motion to deny.
I have a motion to deny by Smith. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Mr. Bathke. All those in favor?
You might want to open it up to public input.
Oh, sorry. I am sorry. Open it up for public comment. Mr. Royston, are you here? Do you want to get up here and speak to this?
I'm Mike Royston. Me and my wife, we bought the house at 412 South Iowa. And the reason for building the garage was she has problems walking and stuff from her cancer. And I just wanted it so she didn't have to go outside on the ice to get in the car. We have a garage in the alley, and she parks in there now, but I'd like to have something done before winter. And the reason we want to move it ahead was because there's a kitchen window there. It's the only window on that side of the house we didn't want to lose. And there's a basement window there, and there's a bedroom there. And eventually I would like to make that an egress, so it's a legal bedroom. Right now it's a 4-bedroom, considered a 4-bedroom house, but it doesn't have an egress. I guess that's That's the only reason we wanted to move it. It's not gonna be a shack. I've got a picture, a drawing of what it's gonna look like. It's gonna match the siding on the house, the shingles are gonna match. I do that kind of work, and I don't do shabby work. I mean, I take pride in what I do and what my property looks like.
Does any of the council have questions for Mr. Royston? Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else want to speak to this?
Justin, do we make that motion right, or are we supposed to motion to approve and then turn it down?
We've got the motion on the table, so we'll deal with it as we've got it.
Okay.
My name's Carol Thwaite, and we live right next door. We're the ones that are against it. They got a double garage in the backyard, which is draining into our yard intentionally. And they don't, their backyard holds the water. They made that back single garage into a double garage, put up rain gutters on their side, poured their cement driveway so it drained into our yard instead of the alley. And now, if you go look, there's no rain gutters on our side of that double garage. So their whole double garage drains into our backyard, which would be all right almost all the time, except last week and one other time when it made about 10 gallons come in. But it was enough to ruin the carpet this time. Now their house sits probably 2 blocks or more higher. If they build that garage anywhere along that house, they're going to have to keep it at the level of their house. So we're going to have a ditch from me to you that will hold the water. And our one basement window is about that far from the ground. So this way we can call it Mother Nature. We get another bad rain like that. But if he builds that garage, it's not going to be Mother Nature. It's going to be because he built the garage. So I'm going to have to be against that. As far as I can understand why it might be a little bit easier, but it won't be unless it's icy or something. There's no difference between her coming out the back door and going to their double garage in the back than it is to this garage that they're talking about building. And one other thing, if they put sidewalks in that, they said that there'd have to be sidewalks on both sides. There's 2 houses on the other side where it cost them at least $10,000 apiece to change that, and then it would ruin the looks of their houses. And right now, right in that corner, the wind comes through and the snowstorms and the northwest and runs right up in our yard and that, well, pretty much our yard too. If there's not that much room, if they put a 5-foot sidewalk in there, they take 10 foot off. We won't have any place to blow snow because we'll be too close to the house. And we're also almost the last people to get their road pushed. If it's a bad storm, it'll be at least 2 days. And the snow plows get stuck right down by that corner. And one got stuck last winter. We watched them pull it out with a big loader. And it would just be a mess. Plus, it will really add a lot of expense to the 2 houses across the street if they put a deal in there. If you have to clean that sidewalk off, so people can walk on it, and then the snowplow comes by and kicks that snow over 2 days later, or a day later, It's just gonna, there won't be room to, they'll have to haul snow off. And that's fact. That's no bull there. And it won't be longer steps or anything for her to come down and get to their back garage right now. Anybody feel sorry for that, you know, because he has cancer, but that's not a good reason.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council?
Hi, I'm Sandra Twait. We live to the north of them, and it's our yard that is affected by this. And I think there's more of an agenda to this than just his wife's health problems. He has a business, he has a trailer that is parked out front on the street. I think he wants somewhere to park that trailer, and he needs a third garage. Have him build it in the garage, have him build it in the alleyway, attach that garage to the back, bring it into the house somewhere there. He's already moved a huge shed into the backyard, which takes up a lot of the backyard. I think there's city codes. I think we need to abide by the city codes. I don't think he needs to come out any farther than the code allows him to on the front. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak to this? Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Okay. First thing is, we just moved in there. There's no gutter on their side of our garage yet, because I haven't got to it. The driveway, when we pour that, is gonna have like a curb on the side, so the water doesn't run into their yard, it runs to the street. I've already talked to the cement guy about that. As far as my business, I ran a 14 by 50 storage unit from All Store. That's where my business is at, my pickup and my trailer. I'm not looking for a place to park my trailer. When this is all done, I'm gonna remove part of we got a fenced-in backyard. I'm gonna remove part of the white fence because I've got cement back there. It's 14 by 50, and that's where my trailer is gonna park. My pickup will be in the garage, and her car will be in the front garage. I don't clutter things up. I'm not gonna fill the garage up with my work stuff. That's not gonna happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to speak to this?
Obviously, as pointed out, I went to the wrong direction on this, Justin. Can I withdraw my motion if we do it correctly?
Sure.
Since it's somewhat.
If nobody else objects, you can amend your motion.
Somewhat contentious, and I want to make for sure this one is done right.
Okay.
Yep. If
So,
nobody
I don't know
else.
who seconded, but I would like to withdraw my motion.
Or you could amend it.
Yep.
Friendly amendment to,
Okay, so then I will make that amendment then to approve
So we have
the variance.
a motion from Mr. Smith. Do we have a second?
Who was the second on that one? Second.
Are we,
Mike,
is the motion to approve?
The motion is to approve, yes.
Currently, we are doing a parliamentary procedure to adjust the motion to make it an affirmative motion that we can then vote on as council members. If you vote to approve now, you are voting to approve the motion. If you vote to deny, you are still voting to deny. But it is a motion in the affirmative now with the friendly amendments by the first and second person. Say that right?
You've got it. So right now, the motion has been changed, Susan, so it's now a motion to approve the variance. If you're in favor of the variance, you would vote yes. If you're against the variance, you would wait and vote no.
Thank you. I second.
Are these all roll call?
This one probably should be roll call.
Okay. Do we have any further discussion?
I want to talk.
Okay.
I'm Justin Teasy, and Mike's worked for me. He does great work. There's going to be a garage there either way, from what I understand. So let's make it look right. You know, and he's got a great drawing. Maybe he should show that, but, I mean, it looks really nice.
You have the drawing?
It looks really nice. And I think if we start pushing it back, it's going to look weird and awkward, but it's going to be a garage either way.
That's where if the variance passes.
Mark, how far, too far out are you, Mike, how far, too far out are you going to be? 17 feet
17 feet from the lot line.
instead of 20?
No, it'll be 17 feet or farther back. It'd be, so under 17, more than 17 feet. And that's if it doesn't pass, that's,
So if it doesn't pass, you'll build a garage and basically lose this other garage door. It'll just be flat along the front.
right.
I'm just making sure.
Oh. No, he's talking about the door on the garage.
Yeah, there's a side door. Yep.
Right, yep.
There's the alternate.
But my main reason for wanting to move it is because if, with that bedroom down there, I can't do an egress window because I'm going to lose the window in that bedroom. And if I ever decide to sell it, or when I die and my kids sell it, it's going to be worth more money if it's advertised as a 4-bedroom with 2 egress windows instead of 1. And then our kitchen window too, we lose that.
Could you put an egress window on the other side? Because you're saying you have a too small a window already. So could you put the window on the opposite side of the bedroom, I guess, around the corner?
Yeah, in the back.
On the back side.
Power comes in right there.
Any other questions for Mr. Royston?
I'll just remind council before we vote that this being a variance, it does require 6 yeas in order to pass. So it's another thing to keep in mind when you're voting.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second in the affirmative. Oh, we got a little bit more
Can I
discussion.
make a couple more comments?
Yep.
I got the privilege of walking this area here in the last few months, and obviously not everywhere in town has sidewalks, but in reality, as Mike pointed out, they are very important and serve a very good purpose. And the reason we don't have sidewalks is we have to pay for our portion of it too, and we can't pay for the whole town all at once. And so, to me, it's very important that we have the ability to have handicap accessibility and young children and even elderly that have a safe place to exercise and get to wherever they want to go. So to me, that is, we don't like to get in the middle of neighborhood squabbles, but to me is eventually we will be in this area for sidewalks. We will. And so if you cannot park a vehicle without walking the sidewalk, I'm assuming that is the majority of the reason why the Planning Commission said they wanted to deny this. And that's where my stance is going to be.
Any other discussion? So just to recap, we have a motion and a second to approve. So we'll do a roll call now.
Dosher,
No.
McCardle,
Aye.
Barrington,
No.
Bathke,
No.
Charts,
Aye.
Smith,
Nay?
Sabers,
Nay.
Goldammer.
Aye.
Motion fails. So it has to be 6, so motion fails. Okay. All right. C, hearing and action on the application for Angie Moon conditional use permit for, Angie Moon has applied for conditional use permit to operate a family residential daycare located at 1024 Palmer Place, legally described as shown on the agenda. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with 1 absent, with the 3 standard conditions for residential daycares. 1, license is non-transferable. 2, if a business ceases to operate for 6 months, then a new application will be required. And 3, pass a fire inspection. Neighbors were notified, it was published in the paper, signs posted. There are 5 letters returned in favor of this, 1 that just had traffic concerns for this area. Angie has operated a daycare for, I think, 18 years over on Quiet Lane. So she's just moving to a new location. We've not had any issues with her daycare in the past at all. Fire Marshal Sandoval is, I believe it's this week, going into the property to his fire inspection. I can answer any questions that you have for me.
Move to approve with the conditions.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? Any other public comment? Anyone want to speak to this in the audience? All right, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to set the date for Board of Adjustment hearing 0715-24. Carla Coomer has applied for a conditional use permit to operate a family residential daycare located at 1503 South Miller Street, legally described as shown on the agenda.
Set the date. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye? Or do we have?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Okay, reconvene as city council. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the city council to reconvene in regular session.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Motion carried. All right. Hearing and action on the following alcohol license applications. On the application of the Palace City Lions for the special event malt beverage and SD farm wine license located at Hitchcock Park, July 27th and 28th for 2004 Arts in the Park.
Mayor and Council, Chief Coster, we have no concerns with this, recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to this? Am I doing this right? Okay, just making sure. Going pretty quick now. Get a little confident. Okay. We have a motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On application to transfer RL 5758 retail on sale liquor license for Mitchell Steak Company LLC, DBA Whiskey Creek Woodfire Grill, 909 East Spruce Street, to Alfonso Rodriguez, DBA Puerto Vallarta, 905 East Spruce Street. Sounds like we're going to get a new restaurant.
Is there a typo there with the 909 and 905? It's supposed to be,
It sounds like they might move the door over, but
just a question.
Yes, it should be 905. The application says 905 East Spruce Street.
so it's not a
They
typo.
both should say 905.
Oh, they both should say 905.
Yes.
That's the thing. I know they've been working on this for quite some time, and I'm just glad to see something finally came together after the months of trying to make this work and get Whiskey Creek filled in with something else. So it'd be a nice addition to the city of Mitchell. So,
I would entertain a motion then.
Move to approve.
second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion from the audience? What?
You good with that, Chief?
Oh,
Yes, sir, we are, we recommend approval.
okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Action to approve special event permit application for Tour de Corn, Saturday, August 17th, 2024. We have a street, you want oh, you go ahead, you read it.
Mayor, Council, Aaron Heeb. The Tour de Corn is Saturday, August 17th. The submitted special event permit application is requesting one street closure, one parking lot closure, and then a parade permit with PD escorts and closures. Also, the Palace City Peddlers would ask for consideration from City Council to waive all the special event permit and park and rec fees for this event. The police escort is requested beginning at 9:30 a.m. for the 35-mile route, and then another one at 10 a.m. for the 15-mile route. Additional park and rec equipment that's requested, 10 picnic tables. Approval of the submitted special event permit application will be contingent upon us receiving the certificate of liability insurance form prior to the day of the event. Staff recommends City Council approval of the requested special event permit as outlined in the application. And last of all, I know last meeting we had some questions based on history or last year's results from the application. So the application that the Tour de Corn submitted in 2023, they requested a street and parking lot closure, but at that point there was no fee for those closures. Last year they did not request a parade permit with PD escort. And then the park and rec
The records show that they reserved and paid for the day camp, and then they also reserved and paid for the 10 picnic tables for last year. Thank you.
I think it's really a nice event for Mitchell. There's not very many of these around, and I'm going to vote to approve.
A motion from Mr. Sabers.
I'll second the motion. And to clarify the motion, I'm going to, we're doing this without fees then? Is that, was your intent to do that without the fees?
Yes, as stated.
So, and I'll second the motion to move to approve with the waiving of fees.
Motion and a second from Mr. Goldhammer. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this?
For those of you that don't know me, my name's Courtney Denny. My husband and I own the bike shop, and anything bike-related, obviously, I'm associated with, the co-chair of the Tour de Corn. So we appreciate the waiving of the fees this year especially. It's our 30th anniversary, and we're expecting to bring over 350 riders to Mitchell. For those who aren't familiar with the Tour de Corn at all, we raise about $30,000 on that one-day event, and we pump all that money back into Mitchell, primarily with giving bikes away to kids who don't have transportation, the bike trails, which we all know are maintained by our bike clubs. So those fees really are going to help us reach that goal of about $40,000 this year. So,
Courtney, real quick, obviously, we don't want you to be paying for these fees, and it makes sense for us to waive them, but do you go in front of the Sports and Events Authority?
we do. Yep, we always go in front of that every year for some additional support for that.
So maybe
Yep.
you can ask for a little bit more and have them cover the fees next year.
Yeah, so last year we didn't ask for the parade permit because we just had some conflicts and their staffing issues is kind of what happens. Sometimes we have a parade permit, sometimes we don't, just depends on the police availability that day. But this year we actually want to honor some of the past Palace City Peddlers members, so that's the reason for the parade permit specifically this year. So, yep.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion. Anyone else want to speak to this in the audience? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve special event permit application for Corn Palace Festival on Tuesday, August 20th through Monday, August 26th, 2024. Mr. Greenway, I think.
Council, Mayor, this is just our annual request for festival. We're excited. The vendor will move in on Tuesday, and then we clean up on Monday, which is why they have that extra time in front of that. But the festival itself is still 5 days, and we've got a free concert outdoor Wednesday, ticketed concerts Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and more free entertainment on Sunday. So looking forward to a great festival. Of course, lots more information coming out about that, and we would ask our fees be waived versus passing those costs on to the city.
Move to approve.
Second.
Approved by Mr. McCardle, second by Barrington. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Office of Economic Development Administration Certificate as to site rights of way and easements.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Joe Schrader, Public Works Director. It is a requirement to approve an Economic Development Administration Certificate as it pertains to the project site, rights-of-way, and easements for the Lake Mitchell Marina project. Eric Carney with Rose Engineering has already signed the Certificate of Engineer for the description of the property requirements. There is item 17.
Can you pull the picture up? Who's pulling pictures? Okay.
There is item number 17 on here that does approve the one and only easement for the project. Once it is approved, all easements and permits necessary for the work will have been obtained, with only one small portion of the project being constructed on private property. Staff is requesting that council authorize the city attorney to sign the title opinion and for the mayor to sign the owner certificate regarding eminent domain. I can answer any questions you may have.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Sabers, second by Mr. Barrington. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? Can you pull up the picture? Can you just clarify for everyone? Is there like a map?
I just have it up there.
Yep, so this map shows, or the map within the certificate shows the area of the project along with properties and parcels along the proposed bike path route.
Any questions? Anyone in the audience? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve agreement A 2024-30 TIF number 35 developer agreement.
All right, so I'll give you the brief background on this one. This developers agreement would relate to the Copper Flats LLC TIF that was approved at your last meeting, which would be that affordable housing apartment complex down by the Menards area. This developer agreement itself is basically becoming a standard form document. The intent of the document is to lay out some additional terms as to how the tax increment is passed on to the developer. And that's all pursuant to the project plan that was previously approved. And with that, we can open it up to any questions.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Sabers. Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Developer agreement? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same side. Motion carries. Approve agreement A 2024-31, permanent easement with Robert Young and Norman Schoenfelder for EDA sidewalk for jetty and trail project number 2023-03.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Joe Schrader, Public Works Director. Permanent easement agreement with Robert E. Young and Norman Schoenfelder is necessary for the sidewalk improvements for the EDA Sidewalk Improvement Project, which is an overall part of the EDA Jetty and Trail Project. Please see attached easement agreement, surveyor's affidavit, and plan sheet showing the proposed improvements. Staff does recommend authorizing the permanent easement and for the mayor to sign on their behalf. I can answer any questions you may have.
Move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Barrington.
Second.
Second by Mr. Smith. Any further discussion from the audience? Anyone up here want to, anyone?
I have one question. I missed the button. I know a lot of these projects were 50-50, and I see where we got a really nice grant for 5%, and I see they raised more money than what the city has thrown in. Is there any?
You're on the wrong one.
Oh, no wonder. I retract that.
You're one ahead there, Dana.
Always ahead. Okay, anyone else want to talk to this one? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All righty. Action to approve agreement A 2024-32, proposed engineering services with SPN and Associates for pickleball courts project number 2023-14.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council, I'll start this one out. Joe Schrader, Public Works Director. City Council approved a grant award for 6 pickleball courts at the April 15, 2024 council meeting. The grant will reimburse 50% of costs not to exceed $195,000. Local Pickleball Association has committed $107,000 toward the project. City Council approved $98,000 as part of the 2024 budget towards the project. The attached agreement with SPN will provide design, bidding, and full construction phase services. So with that, staff does recommend City Council approval of the attached agreement with SPN in the amount not to exceed $53,000 for the services identified in that agreement. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have, or Kevin Nelson also can answer questions as well.
I'll jump in.
Perfect timing.
I see they raised more funds than what the city did. Is it, do we have any hidden costs or something? Or is that, we just take what they raise? You know, because usually it's matching funds up to 50 on a lot of this stuff, which I think we got to rethink a little bit because everything we're doing is getting so expensive. People got to raise when you start talking raise $1 million, they gotta raise $1 million projects, that's 500,000. I think that's too much. But, I see they're about, what, 9, 10, 11,000 more they raised than what the city's thrown in.
Mayor and
Some
council.
costs I missed in.
Mayor and Council, Kevin Nelson, Park and Rec Director. Pickleball Association began fundraising before there was an actual project proposal on the table. So that's how much money they had to bring forth.
That's how much they had to, or that's how much they did?
That's how much they had in the account to bring forward.
Okay.
Forward
And they're okay with that?
See, we got some pickleballers in the audience. They want, I don't know if they want to talk.
And then the other thing I would keep in mind, this project has not been bid yet, so that's the estimated construction cost. Once the design is done and they go out to bid, if the cost is overbid, the city's likely going to have to kick
What
them
happens
off.
if it comes in under?
And we're in luck.
We give them their money back?
There have been questions on whether or not we can make that into 7, possibly 8 courts instead of the 6 that were proposed.
I'll just say, I was out playing last night. There was about 30 people out there. It was packed. Some of them were just swatting the mosquitoes, but they were there. So I think this is just a great thing for Mitchell. It's only going to get bigger. And if you haven't played it, go play it. We have a church gathering on Sunday nights, and it draws about 20 people every Sunday. And it's great. It's a good activity for anybody, any age.
Oh. Move to approve? Second by Mr. Cardle. And real quick, since I know Sam's probably going to publish this, just to clarify for everyone that we haven't begun construction yet because we were waiting for federal funds. Is that correct? Yeah. So that's the reason why nothing has been started yet.
Because of the federal grant requirements, they could not start the design services or any construction until the final award of the grant, which they anticipated would be this summer, and they received it in May.
What was your estimated completion time? It's always been 2025. Okay, just to make sure. Okay, we have a motion on a second. Oh, do you guys want, sorry, first timer here again.
I want to ask one more question, and this is probably for Jeff. He's drawing the plans. Are you doing post-tension?
No.
Fair enough.
We're planning on it, no. Quite a bit more expensive. Tim Smith, I just thank you for, taking this up. I'm a board member. Kevin Dorn is back here as the president of the Pickleball Association, but we just want to get things moving. We know the money is there since we've gotten the grant now. We've had donors that have given $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 over 2 years ago and questioning, are we going to do this or are we not going to do this? Mr. Mayor asked us if we would hold a tournament during the big Hitchcock Park Arts in the Park. We would love to do that, but we have no official courts to play on, so we can't do that. But we just want to get the project moving. This is the first step, obviously, and hopefully, I know we've talked about a 2025, but we've got a lot of summer left. If we can get engineering done, maybe even cement poured, get as much done in the fall so that maybe they'll be ready to go next spring, we'd certainly appreciate it. Okay? If I could, I know this is another project, but if I could update the Cadwell Park project for you real quickly, talking to Kevin Gensler today from Civarella, they've got a completion date of July 14th, which is coming up pretty quickly here, and it's moving along very nicely. We've still got carpet and a couple other things to put up in the press box, but I did want to let you know we want to plan a dedication ceremony for the press box and the roof out at Cadwell Park, and the Baseball Association, State Baseball Association, suggested and asked us to do that during the state tournament this fall. They'd like to do it between the 2 championship games on Sunday, August the 18th. So since the city's a big part of that, we'd like to invite everybody, put that on your calendar, and we'll plan a little ceremony for that date. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this?
Since Jeff is out here, can you kind of just come up and tell us kind of what your timeline, what you're kind of thinking about on this? Because, Tim is right, if we can speed this thing along and get as much done, and the last 2 falls we've had are actually been pretty good. So I don't know, we've got it budgeted in '24, so if we can continue to move forward, and then it'd be nice just to put the finishing touches on in '25, if we could.
Yeah, I mean, we've got it budgeted or scheduled and planned to be for the 25 construction. We'll probably start doing survey work after the 4th of July here to get started on it. It might be more or less the problem of what contractors are available to do the work, especially with the weather that we've had. A lot of them are behind the schedule. So it's probably going to be wherever we bid and where that falls into it. I wouldn't get the hopes up just because of the fact if we try to push something faster, we're either going to get really high bids or we're not going to get bids for it. But we'll push as fast as we can with it, with everything else that we've got going on. But I wouldn't get the hopes on it just in where contractors are with the way the weather's been.
So you, right now, you're kind of bidding for the spring, is that what you're thinking?
I think we were looking to bid, I remember right,
Or,
Joe,
I mean,
late fall, early winter bid date.
And I'm sorry, construction starting around?
As soon as the contractor would be able to in the spring of '25.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to this? So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve amendment number 2, agreement A2021-07, construction services with Infrastructure Design Group Inc., IDG, for Livesay Lane utility improvements.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Joe Schrader, Public Works Director. So this project originally was approved back on February 1st of 2021 for design and bidding services. Amendment number 1 was added for construction phase services, and now we are looking at amendment number 2, which adds additional time for the project. Contractor went beyond the completion date of the project. Original completion date was October 31st of '23. The project has since been completed with the exception of one item on the inlet side of the detention pond. Original contract amount for these design services were $59,242. Amendment number 2 is adding an additional $14,292 with a new contract amount of $219,386. We do plan to be reimbursed for these funds through liquidated damages from the contractor, so it should not cost the city anything. So staff does recommend City Council approval of amendment number 2. I can answer any questions you may have.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer. Second by Mr. Barrington. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ooh. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-44, a resolution designating the city administrator as the city council's representative for union negotiations and labor contract issues.
Mayor and council, included in the packet is a resolution that would just formally designate the city administrator for the negotiations and contract issues that the city has with the 3 unions present in the city. Currently, this task has already been included in my job description when the city administrator position was created in 2015. We did do a resolution in 2015. It hasn't been done since then. So I'm just asking that council consider doing this formally, designating my position as the contact for negotiations for wages in 2025 and then contract issues that we currently have coming up. Additionally, just for the public's information, obviously when we go to the table for negotiations, all those items come to council in executive session. It's council's decision on ratifying and approving those negotiations as we move forward.
And Stephanie, you've been acting under that umbrella anyway.
Yes, for the last 10 years.
Yeah. And I wanted to know too is Marty and I were on council when all the unions, or when the last union got started, and we, at that point in time, were the first few years before Stephanie was here, we were paying attorneys tens of thousands of dollars.
Actually, the year before I got here, it was over $65,000.
$65,000. So that is obviously part of the job description that works out very well. So keep up the good work, Stephanie. I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Smith. Second by Mr. McCardle. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-45, creating tax increment district number 36 and approving project plan.
Mayor and council, and for the public's information, I just wanted to point out that we did have an updated project plan that was presented. It's included on the online packet. Mainly, the only difference, or actually the only difference, is the same as the handout that's on your desk today. There was a question that came up during the Planning Commission meeting on this estimated increment sheet. That it used to, the fourth column used to say purchase price, and that was not intended to be a purchase price. That is the estimated assessed value. So they updated that project plan to match what the intention was for those sheets. I just wanted to point that out for everybody. So we're asking that you do this current version. Apparently I can't talk and scroll at the same time. Hold on. And then the last thing I just wanted to just point out to council, I did provide an updated report on all the city's current TIFs within the city of Mitchell. As you can see, we still have 15 active TIFs for the city of Mitchell. So far, those TIFs have brought in $35,535,000 worth of additional tax value to the city of Mitchell. Since TIF 26, we've started issuing those TIFs as grants, pass-through grants, instead of issuing those as constitutional debt against the city's debt capacity. If anyone is interested, you can actually go down through this report and you'll see each of the individual TIFs, where they're located, when they were established, how much is approved in the project plan, as well as how much has been paid to that developer in both principal and interest, what the base value was. So for example, the Highland Conference Center, the base value was $6 million. The current value is $15 million. So we've had $9 million of growth or increment for that tax increment financing district. The thing to point out, we have had a couple, 3 or 4 since the last couple of years. So I do have those new ones included in this report as well. So we've got, here was the Fiala Housing Development, Flats on Havens. You can see that these ones are just starting to get some value in their increment. Woolworth Building, Sharpstone, 15th Street. Construction on that is nearing complete, I believe. Cromer Properties, Iverson, both of those that were just approved. And Copper Flats, that's the new affordable housing or apartment complex that's down by Menards. So I just wanted to point that out, that you have an updated TIF report. We haven't looked at one of those in a while, just so you can see what's been happening in the city of Mitchell. And I'll let Justin go through the project plan.
All right, so with that overview, I can move into discussing a little bit more of the detail on this proposed TIF 36. This one would relate to the South Lake and Ridgeview on Foster developments. Both of these areas are linked throughout town by a right-of-way path. We'll get into in a little bit why that is the case, but the area itself is established on the map that Stephanie is showing. You've got, basically the 2 pockets of development, one in the South Lake area, the other Ridgeview. As far as the project plan goes, staff did meet, the TIF review committee did meet and review the project plan, did work with the applicant to revise the project plan and make it compliant with state statutes and our local handbook. Details on the TIF, much of it's the same as you've seen before, would be 20 years, would expire at the end of the 20 years or when the amount of the TIF is paid off. The amount that they are requesting is $5,509,900. I think the amount that it's projected to generate is just a hair over that amount. Otherwise, the TIF would still function as a grant pass-through type TIF. where we simply pass the increment that develops onto the developer as it generates. As you look through the various project cost breakdowns that have been provided, you'll see kind of the difference between the two projects for South Lake and Ridgeview that are combined for the one TIF. As I said, the reason that they're combined is that basically the increment that would generate from the Ridgeview development was going to help pay for the infrastructure in the South Lake development. Otherwise, the South Lake one really would not be feasible without that. And obviously, that's part of the rationale for them saying that this will not proceed, but for the use of TIF in this case. You can also see on that project cost breakdown how there are several grants that also apply to both of these projects. And I believe that should give you the general overview. Obviously, for the TIF itself, the primary purpose is to create some more affordable housing type residences for folks. The TIF funds themselves do not go towards the residences at all. It's a total of 69 units that the developer plans to build out. You can see in their increment tables how they're expecting those to develop and kind of the timetable that they're hoping to have those houses built. But it'd be 69 total lots. That is split between the two developments. And Stephanie, I don't know if you've got anything else to add, but.
No, just that the requirements with these workforce housing TIFs is that they do have to be at or below the first-time home buyers limit. That's a program guideline set by the Department of Revenue. We do require each of the developers to do an annual report on the sale price of those houses, as well as certify the costs of the project as those costs are incurred. So we have an ongoing reporting period with each of those TIFs to make sure that they're staying within those guidelines. As Justin said, it has to be certified by the state of South Dakota as economic development for affordable housing. If it's not, then the TIF will dissolve. The TIF also requires that they waive the discretionary formula on any new construction so that increment is generated as quickly as possible to pay down the TIF.
I think it's a good project, so I'm going to make a motion to approve it.
Moved by Mr. McCardle.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Goldhammer. Does anyone in the audience wish to speak to this?
Don Peterson, attorney for the developer. And Justin and Stephanie have really handled everything I want to say. I'm going to invite Terry Sabers, who is the director of Mitchell Area Housing Authority, MAI, to come up when I finish to talk about the project. The one thing I want to point out is that Stephanie mentioned there are some grants involved in this program. And so what this project is doing is MAI is nonprofit. So they're not in this thing to make a profit. So what happens is that these houses will probably assess for somewhere between $340,000, $365,000 within that requirement by the state for first-time home buyers. However, the hope is that they can sell these homes for what, Terry, $250,000 to $350,000. So if you buy one at $275,000, you're going to walk in and have that much equity already built into your house. But the only reason we can do that is because we were able to apply and receive some grants, and we're a nonprofit, so we're not, we don't have to put anything back in our pocket. So with that, I'll invite Terry to come up and kind of talk about the project. Oh, we also did submit this to the Department of Revenue, and we did get preliminary approval from them.
One thing too before Terry starts. So we have received a lot of questions how these two TIFs can be linked together when they're so far away. That's why the right-of-way is being used, so they're adjoining by use of the city's right-of-way. And then just for council's information, Susan had to sign off. She's not on the phone.
Great, thank you. Terry Sabers here. I'm president of Mitchell Area Housing, or MAHI. You know, we've been working over the last 2 years to try to build some lower-cost homes. We built 3 last year, and we're in the process of doing 3 this year, hope maybe 4 if we can get one more in this fall. But that's just not enough for all the workers that we need to attract to Mitchell. So this project will allow us to do 10 to 12 homes per year, if the market is there, which we think it will be. And when this project is all built out, there's 69 homes on these 2 developments that are a part of the TIF. There's another 20 or 22 that are outside of the TIF, such as 17 homes in Ridgeview up along A Street will be Mitchell Tech homes in the future. And so they're outside of the TIF because they could likely be over the amount that is allowed, the $385,000 currently. So that will add, when this project is built out, that will add about $35 million to the tax base of Mitchell and of Davison County. So it will have a very positive effect. Because as you can see, there's 37 homes in the South Lake development and 32 in the Ridgeview development. And these will be owner-occupied homes, at least to start. We can't control whether somebody in 5 years decides to rent out their house. But initially, they will be owner-occupied homes. And as has been mentioned, these will all be single-family homes. There will be some twin homes in there maybe, and the price range of will go from $250,000 to $350,000 because we've got some larger lots and some areas that fit better for a little bit bigger home. But there will be a number of them in that $250,000 and $300,000 home that hopefully will be able to pick up some assistance to help them get into those homes, and there will be some requirements that they need to live in them so long so that they don't just turn around and sell them and get a windfall. You know, if there is a windfall, we want that back so we can use it on our next development. So there will be some requirements built into our agreements. And these homes will be a fit for young professionals coming to town. And I've also, as I've knocked on doors, met young couples with kids that want to move up. And they're in a $150,000 or $160,000 home, but they can't afford a $400,000 home. But in that $250,000 to $300,000, they can. And so when they move up, that opens up a $150,000 or $160,000 home for another worker. So, you know, there are a couple of different ways that these do, that they do work. And these prices are based on today, and who knows in the next 3-4 years what inflation will do, so that might have an effect on it. But you never know if it goes down and we do see some cost stabilization of prices that might be able to stabilize our prices down the road. And since the infrastructure, you know, the sewer, the storm sewer, the water, the curb, the gutter, and the streets out here is running about $75,000 a lot. And we plan to sell these lots for $25,000. That's where the TIF comes in, to help subsidize that and help us to keep those prices down in the range that we talked about. That's really the only way this will work, is with a TIF to help do that. And this TIF approval is the only way that we'll be able to attract the workers to Mitchell that we need in the future. You know, the High Plains beam plant is going to open up, and no idea where those 60 employees are going to live. You know, the rental people I've talked to said everything is virtually 100% rented out right now. So, you know, we do need these. So our plan is that upon approval of this TIF and our infrastructure bids, which we're going to be taking here shortly, we want to start the infrastructure construction this fall and hopefully have it completed pretty much by the winter of 2025, with a year from now us being able to start building some homes. So with that, I stand by for any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Sabers? Looks like Mr. Bathke.
I guess I've got a few here for you. So who's really going to lose here is the city, the county, the schools, the James River Water Development, because you're taking the increment from them. And we're talking about building another fire hall. And with growth comes more employees, more cops, an expense for the city. So that's where I'm at with it. And then we talked today, Terry, about it, and you used those two words, creative financing again, because I just can't get past that. You're going to put $75,000 to $80,000 per lot. You're only going to sell them for $25,000. That's $50,000 that the taxpayers are kicking in towards this per lot. And I can't get past that. I just think that's crazy and I know things have gotten expensive. Then one last thing that I would like you to address a little bit is there was an employer from Mitchell that gave you a loan. That's great. But I'm curious why none of the other employers that say they need these houses to get their employers don't step up.
Let me address those two questions. First off, were it not for this subsidy, this project wouldn't go. And 18 years from now, when it's paid off, there will probably be about $500,000 a year in taxes that's generated that wouldn't be there. On top of it all, we wouldn't have houses for workers, so the businesses wouldn't be able to operate. That's where this all comes through. And unfortunately, and the thing is, without some creative things that we're going to do, anybody that's in private enterprise would not even touch this. That's why in the last 20 years, nobody's built any starter homes, is because of that. It's very difficult to make any money. And that's why with a nonprofit, we need to do that. And your second question, we're working with about 15 different groups. And 2 have committed now.
Okay.
And so we're working on more of them, and they want to be involved in different ways. And so, we're not leaving any stone unturned. We have to in order to make this thing successful.
Okay.
Other questions?
This is one more. So I'm not trying to go at Troke or anything here, but I did a little research today, and they have a sign up that and they tell everybody they need 40 employees. They don't even support our local tech school anymore, students to go to the tech school. There's, I believe, 2 welding manufacturers out of Yankton that are supporting, I think, 4 students. A couple employers out of Sioux Falls are supporting students, but our own Trail King tells us they need employees, but they don't want to support the students. And I just can't believe that they wouldn't support this housing project more. And maybe that's one that you've gotten on board, which is great. But I think that we're relying on the taxpayers to help fund this project. Any way you look at it, that TIF, we're taking money out of the coffer by doing that for 20 years. Or you could close it out sooner. Very well possibly could do it. I just can't support it because we're taking all that money away, and it's still taxpayers' money.
I'll remind you once more time, Mike, without this subsidy, this project doesn't go, and I go back to being retired. And then we don't have this. We don't have these houses. That's the thing. And then there is no taxes 20 years from now that goes into the coffers.
But to say there's no houses, there is houses. Mr. Grunewig I called him today, I believe he has 12 lots left, but I believe he sold 4, possibly this week.
He got that done through a TIF, Mike.
Yep, but he told me straight out, Don, it doesn't work.
Well, I can tell you, you're not giving up anything because there's a but-for test that says if we don't get the TIF, the project doesn't go. So you're not giving up any tax money because if you don't approve the TIF, the project isn't going to go through. And so there's not going to be any houses out there, at least not at the rate they're going to be. So the city, the county, James River, and the school district isn't giving up anything because they're reimbursed anyway through a different program. So they don't lose any of their tax money. And the other taxes aren't, James River, they're not going to be there if the houses don't get built. I mean, I think Stephanie showed the number. What was the revenue the TIFs have created for Mitchell that otherwise wouldn't be here?
While she's getting there, for sake of argument, what if, as you would say, we don't do this, what if you do it and it fails? Do you, as a group, Mahi, Development Corporation, have the means to cover this TIF?
We will in one way or another, yes.
Hey, I have a question to follow up on that. I know a lot of other TIFs in Mitchell where they were not meeting their requirements, and they had to sell lots, or give them away to make sure, is Mahi prepared to give away lots to make sure the TIF requirements are met?
We've got that built in there if we have to, yes, we will.
Okay. And then one more question. So to build on what Mike said, 75 is the cost, 25 is what you'll sell them for, 3.45 million. That's what the TIF money is basically going to be used for, is for that spread. Just so everyone knows.
Right.
So that's how you're going to get to that number. Okay.
And as a reminder, the TIF money is not going into any of the homes themselves. It's just the infrastructure.
To reduce the cost of the lot.
Right, correct.
What were we waiting for Stephanie to look up?
I had it up there.
Oh, okay, sorry. Does anyone else, real quick, Steve, does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Sabers? Before he exits.
You said you
Come up to the audience for me, please, or to the podium real quick.
you built 3 houses.
Right, sir, you need to go to the.
Have they sold?
Mr. Treble, you'll have to come up to here so everyone at home can.
I can answer his question. He asked if we've built 3 houses, have they sold? The 3 that we built last year, yes, and they were all in the $200,000 range. The 3 we're doing this year are just in process right now. One of them just got placed on a foundation, and the other 2 will be in the next couple months.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Thank you.
Terry?
I got one for Terry, too.
Oh, Terry, just real quick.
If you have any questions, you have to come up to the podium so everyone can hear
As
it on
as you talk about sales, can you talk about the process that you've gone through in the past to sell? Just like that it's open to the public to put in and try and purchase these homes? Or is it, who's all able to?
Anybody it depends on the home. Some homes, depending on what they're, like if it's a governor's home, they have to meet an income requirement, the rest of them not. And it's on a first come, first served basis, so that, and I've had people call me and we've got a list. And so if anybody's interested, they just need to get in touch with us. Okay?
I just have a really stupid question. If Trail King or the hospital are so in dire need of workers and housing, why don't they put the money up and build?
That's what Mr. Bathke said.
To be fair, the hospital did donate land to this project or to help with the project cost.
I guess my question is.
State your name, please.
Justin Teasy. My question is, they look like they took a real creative route. Is that bypassing all the other TIFs? Or I mean,
Can you go to the map,
can we
please?
do it? Can we do another TIF? Is that going to screw up future TIFs?
We purposely use that to avoid one TIF, and it's doubtful whether there would be any TIFs in the route we took. Okay? We looked at that.
What would happen, just for the audience, what would happen if there was a TIF that wanted to cross that? Can we play that scenario out?
So I can go into that a little bit. The issue that you potentially run into there is the increment for that second TIF isn't really going to be able to go to that developer until the earlier TIF pays out, or you're going to have to come up with some provisions as to how that increment is going to be split. So
Same scenario we have now on 15th, correct? Isn't there an overlapping TIF there?
No.
We do have another overlapping tip. I actually show that in my project report. We used to have, I believe, 3 that kind of cross paths. This is our only remaining overlapping TIF.
So it's possible.
Yep.
It's possible, Mike, because if someone wanted to build a building that abuts the right-of-way, if they don't need to improve the street or do anything out in the right-of-way, they can create a TIF there, because it's just the public right-of-way that's in the TIF, it's not the lot, so.
One of the things that we did when we refinanced one of the existing TIFs that overlapped another one is the developers both agreed that this TIF's increment would stay with this TIF, and this TIF's increment would stay with this TIF. We had them do that through a developer's agreement. So you could potentially do that if there was a future TIF that you wanted to cross the boundary. You could have Mahi agree that they didn't claim any of the new increment from anywhere where it's crossing over.
So just to break that down real simply, it's not going to stifle future TIF projects because there is a way around it. Okay. Mr. Stroud?
Is that me? Hello, Jesse Stroud. Quick question for Mr. Sabers. You were saying that there's going to, some sort of wording that anybody that buys this house, they're supposed to stick around for 5 years, or there's something like that. When they, and you're saying that most people are going to be upgrading from like a cheaper home to a more expensive home. I do wonder, is there anything that's going to make it so those homes become first home buyers and not a group or collectively you and your brother buy those so nobody else can have them and then become rentals? So if we prevent a rental at a higher spot, what prevents a rental at a lower spot on the $150,000 house? So now nobody can afford the 400, 300, 200, 100, and then when the 100s want to buy or rent your place, and then somebody else like Boyd's buying them for 50. So I'm not sure at what level we're just trading one for another there. Do you see where that might be an issue? Oh, you don't see where that's an issue? Understood.
All right.
Steve Simpson, I don't have any questions, but hopefully I can provide some financial analysis to the project that I printed off that we're talking about here tonight. And number one, from a philosophical standpoint, we are violating the free market here. And this is not the only thing and the only project that's done that. If we continue as a nation to do projects where the cost of the project is greater than the benefit in the name of economic development, we're going to crash the economy. And this is a perfect example of that. This is a $30 million project for 69 homes. And I added up the assessed valuations for those 69 homes as projected on page 29 through 32. And I came up with $21,510,000 on a $30 million project. So we are in the hole, $8.5 million. And Terry and I discussed this before the meeting. No private sector person would do this. So why are we doing this? For the sake of growth, if we're going to grow Mitchell by doing projects that cost more than the benefit, we're going to bring this economy down. And it's not just the local people. This has a $2.4 million federal grant, free money. It has almost a $2 million state grant. And then this $5.5 million TIF means that we have almost $10 million of public funding going to a private corporation across the street from here without transparency. That's what I have a problem with, is a public-private partnership to grow the economy supposedly by violating free market principles. That's all I wanted to say because so you know, I've been a master's degree in accounting, a retired CPA. I've worked with big corporations for 35 years. We've done a lot of capital budgeting. And I agree with Terry. No private company that I work for would do this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse Stroud again, and I would like to second that if a private company isn't stupid enough to do the project, the government shouldn't be stupid enough to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Sabers?
One more comment. The costs in this TIF that are covered, none of that's going across the street except to the bills are going there and they're being paid, okay? All the costs that are being paid out of this TIF are certified. Is that correct, Stephanie? Yes. Yeah, it's all certified that it's being spent to somebody legitimately, so, okay?
Jesse Stroud again. Quick question for you, Terry. Do you take any salaries, or does the lawyer with his fancy jacket take any salaries from the money?
Up to this point, I have not taken any salary, and I don't know how long my commitment is. It's not a lifetime commitment, but there may be some administrative costs down the road, so.
What about the lawyer?
The lawyer, he's not working pro bono, but he is working at a discounted rate for us.
Jesse, I can tell you where I got the jacket if you're interested.
Terry, 1 second here. So I want you to tell me if I'm wrong, but the way I understand this is the whole increment from Ridgeview goes to fund South Lake.
No. A portion of it stays with Ridgeview because we do not have enough grant money to cover that completely, but we're using the rest of the, to help pay off South Lake. Yes. Any other questions?
Where did you get your degree in fuzzy map?
45 years of construction.
Mr. Simpson?
Yep.
Excuse me, I did forget to give you one important fact. Remember, I calculated an $8.5 million loss on this project on 69 houses? That's $124,000 per house. So we're losing more than just $50,000 on the infrastructure on the lots. You know, from 75 to 25, that's 50. I've shown a loss of $124,000 per house. So I'm not sure where the hole in the ground is for that.
Any further discussion? All right, I'll entertain a, where are we at here? We're going to do a roll call? All right, let's do a roll call. We have a motion in a second, right?
Move to approve.
Yep, yep.
Been so long, I forgot.
I wrote it down. I foresaw that happening.
Yeah, circus guy.
Okay, do you want to do a roll call?
Sabers? Explain the vote again. Aye.
Goldhammer?
Aye.
Dosher?
Aye.
McCardle?
Aye.
Barrington?
Aye.
Bathke?
Nay.
Smith?
Aye.
7 to 1, or 6 to 1.
Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-46, Plot 4 of Iverson's Second Edition. Mr. Jenniges.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 4-0 with 2 abstentions and 1 absent. This is the first part of a development for this area. It meets zoning requirements for highway business in this area. It is abutting Highway 38. DOT's also already approved and signed the plat for the existing approach that is on that location. There are some easements that the city has on the plat. I can answer any questions that you have for this.
Move to approve. Second.
We got a motion and a second. Anyone in the audience wish to speak to this? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-47, Plot of Lot 58 of the Island, First Edition. Mr. Jenniges.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with 1 absent. They're plating out what is their park for the island. It meets all zoning requirements for sizes. It follows their master plan. I can answer any questions that you have for this.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second by Mr. Barrington. Any discussion from the audience? Anyone wish to speak to this? All right. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second reading of ordinance 2024-05 rezoning. What do I have to say? As shown on agenda.
Move to place the second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience?
I can give you a history of it. Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with 1 absent. We have not received any more letters. There were 4 in favor of this. As you recall, this area was recodified. We recodified the map in 2012. Some of the old maps have this as TWC, some have it as R2. Also, some building permits have it as TWC, some has it at R2. Muth Electric, as you'll know, is looking to move, so they are looking to sell their piece of property, having the east side as TWC, the west side as R2. Kind of makes it hard to sell that area, and also Pitts Corporation then
got on board with this as well to change theirs to TWC, which it was on some maps and not on others. So I can answer any more questions that you have for me. Applicants here, if you have any questions for them too.
I can't remember if I did a motion on this one.
Yeah, there's a
Okay,
motion
sounds
and a
good. Does
second.
anyone in the audience want to speak to this? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to adopt ordinance.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say, oh, sorry, roll call. Roll call. Oh, yeah, sorry. Does anyone from the audience want to speak to this? All righty, now we do a roll call.
Dosher. McCarty. Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Sabers.
Aye.
Goldamer.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.